Good evening, guys. How's it going? First of all, before I jump into the data here, Hawks Nest stream tonight. It's going to start in about 2 hours from the upload of this video, 8 o'clock p.m. Pacific. Going to be on this channel. Me and the Hawks Nest are going to talk about this Niners game. We're going to preview it, try to give an idea of what we need to do to win, what we need to happen, what to look for, all that stuff. Hope to see you there. It's going to be fun. And hopefully by the end of it, we have an idea of what this team can do to overcome the odds and win as a double-digit underdog. So, hope to see you guys there. Again, this channel tonight. Keep an eye out for the stream, stream link. Okay, pass coverage Thursday. We're getting to it a little bit late today, mostly because it feels a little bit secondary to other things going on right now because we just finished the regular season and now we have this playoff game. But we're going to do pass coverage Thursday like we always do. And you got to say, in this last game, Week 18, pass coverage was good, right? Baker didn't do that much. Baker had a very lackluster game, completed barely over half his passes, no touchdowns, one interception, very limited action in the passing attack for Baker. And not only are we going to talk about that, we're also going to talk about the body of work this season. So let's start with the linebackers, including a new addition to the chart. And yeah, we're going to just start at the top and go from there. So Jordan Brooks, he didn't play. So his season was obviously over last week when he got hurt against the Jets. By my count, he gave up about 750 passing yards, 7 touchdowns. Was probably, I don't know if he was worse in coverage than he was in 2021, but I feel like he was approximately equivalent overall. I think he gave up a few less yards, but it also depends on what site you use. Like PFF said he gave up over 1,000 yards last year. PFR did not. They gave him less than that. But yeah, not really any improvement anyway. It's the same problems. So real quick, I can say that about Jordan Brooks. He still can't cover, and he probably never will be able to at this point. It's just not in his game. Cody Barton, on the other hand, as this year went on, there are problems, but he proved to be an adept cover corner. He still gave up a ridiculously high completion percentage, but when you get targeted 51 times in coverage and you only give up 382 yards, that's pretty good. I look at that and I go, I can live with that. Now, at the end of the day, if a player is doing that, he's still letting teams move down the field. The high completion percentage means it's going to be hard to get off the field because every time they target you, they're at least getting something going. But he ended up being a decent cover corner. And this is very important for us to note because we are moving into an offseason where Brooks might not be ready for the start of 2023. Barton's a free agent. BBK, I believe he's a free agent. And even if he wasn't, then I don't think we're expecting anything from him at this point as anything more than a special teamer. And we've got these picks. We need linebackers, man. We need linebackers. We've got some money to spend in free agency. We need to figure out if Barton is worth keeping around and what kind of money is he going to command, because he played a lot this year, but overall he was just kind of a mediocre player, good in some areas but really bad in others. But you look at these cover numbers and you're like, he has a place in the NFL. He has some window where he can be an effective player in the NFL. So I don't know what we do with Barton from here on out, but it's going to be interesting to see, and we have to figure this one out because we need serious help at middle linebacker next year. Nobody else was targeted in the linebacker position this week, and as you can see, nobody really got targeted or picked on to an excessive degree. They're edge rushers. They're not supposed to. Tanner Muse is the new addition to this list because he played a good amount in replacing Brooks. He did pretty good overall these last 2 weeks in coverage. 5 targets, 2 completions, 17 yards. Less than a 50% QB rating. And you may remember that in that Jets game, he almost had a pick 6, which would have helped his numbers tremendously. So Tanner Muse being a college safety, it kind of makes sense that he would be pretty good at coverage. And it seems like that's the case, but it's a very small sample size. And look, like I said, we need middle linebacker help. Maybe Tanner Muse comes back next year and is part of the solution, at least in some capacity. It seems like the way of the future in the NFL is to get these smaller middle linebackers who are like 220, 225, maybe 230, and depend on their speed rather than their ability to shed blockers and use their size. So maybe there's something there. I don't know. I've always liked Tanner Muse, but I've always thought he's too small to be linebacker. Maybe the way the NFL is going, he's not. Okay, that's it for the linebackers. Overall, they were the main issue in coverage this year. I think is fair to say. Same as last year. It wasn't good overall, but there are some notable things here that are pretty workable. Cornerback. All right, this is an area of the team where the coverage was really good. And that was, and I should note here, despite the fact that Sidney Jones and Artie Burns, who I thought were going to be the starters this year, at least for a little bit, basically did nothing. They got targeted a combined total of 8 times across a couple games. So you had Tariq Woolen out there basically the whole season. He missed a handful of snaps all year. 66 times he got targeted. Barely over 50% completion. Just over 400 yards allowed in coverage. 3 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. QB rating allowed of just under 49. So Tariq Woolen was not a case of, oh, he gets picks, but he gives up everything in coverage. No. He was borderline shutdown this year. I think he gave up like 2 completions for a decent chunk of yards to the Rams, admittedly. He probably got a little too greedy with his baiting as the year went on. By the end of the year, he was probably going for the pick a little too much and he gave up some stuff. But overall, you're talking about an outside cornerback playing almost every snap and only giving up 419 yards despite not having a very good pass rush backing him up. That's pretty incredible. And I also want to use this opportunity to shout out Michael Jackson, who gave you, I mean, not as good, but not that far off. He got targeted 20 more times than Woolen and only gave up an additional, 70 yards. Completion percentage was still really low, less than 56%. Again, no pass rush. Only 2 touchdowns. He had the 1 interception. QB rating allowed of just over 75. So what we had at corner this year was special. The problem with these 2 guys is their tackling, especially Jackson, but I would say Woolen too. It's I really want to stress that Woolen was not a Trayvon Diggs, where he got 10 interceptions but gave up over 1,000 yards. Not even close. So I don't know if Woolen's going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year, but he's certainly our Rookie of the Year, I think. Even over a guy like K9, who has been great as well. Like, he's not even that bad of a tackler. It's just something he needs to work on. He is so close to being the complete cornerback. And Kobe Bryant, obviously, was the corner who gave up the most stuff this year. Despite playing significantly fewer snaps, he got targeted almost about as much as the top 2 guys on average. 72 targets. High completion percentage, 75%, 650 plus yards, 3 touchdowns. He got jobbed out of an interception, maybe even 2. I will say that. I will acknowledge that. But overall, Kobe Bryant's first year was occasionally difficult. He did force those 4 fumbles. He got jobbed out of a fumble against the Raiders. So there's definitely some stuff to build on here. But I look at these numbers and I go, he might be better suited at another position. He could play safety. He could be an outside corner and probably be better than this. But in order to enable that, we need to actually find a nickel cornerback who is good. Not just a also-ran like Justin Coleman, who ended up not even contributing really this year. No, we need somebody like who's meant to play nickel corner and is young. Trey Brown, by the way, really nothing to talk about with him this year. He basically missed the whole year. He effectively did. I still think he can be a decent player, but I don't know if there's any room for him on this team at this point. We'll see. He's probably more talented than Michael Jackson, but I'm hesitant to move off of Michael Jackson after the year he just had. Like, again, I really want to accentuate this point. We don't have a good pass rush, and these players are doing this. Okay, now we move on to the safeties here, and Ryan Neal, I listed him as a cornerback when the year started, but he ended up playing pretty much all safety this year. He gave up 50% completion, which is quite good for a safety. Less than 200 yards on 52 targets, which is pretty remarkable. He is a strong safety, so he is going to be covering a lot of stuff close to the line of scrimmage, so it's a little easier, but still, If he gets targeted 52 times in a season and he gives up 191 yards in coverage, that's incredible. Gave up 2 touchdowns. I think they were both in the Lions game. He had a pick, and his QB rating allowed was under 64. So we had something really good going on with the Ryan Neal spot. And based off the way Ryan Neal played safety last year, I was not expecting it. Ryan Neal was not impressive to me last year at safety, so this was really good. Okay, the rest of the safeties, Quandre Diggs. Just a quick little shout out here because he's obviously had some trials and tribulations this season. Last 2 games he's played, he's been targeted twice, and he picked off the ball both times. Both times they went towards Quandre, he picked the ball off. So, on the right track. And at the end of the day, if you're a free safety who gets targeted 34 times in a year, which is exactly twice a game, and you give up about 312 yards, okay. I can work with that for sure. That's, ultimately less than 20 yards a game. And how many big plays did we give up through the air this year? Not that many. Not that many. 3 touchdowns allowed, which is unlike him, but again, we don't have a pass rush. It's going to happen. 4 interceptions, QB rating allowed just under 77. And the only other safety who got targeted in this game was Jonathan Abram, who actually held up really well. I think he got targeted like 7 times and only gave up 3 completions. And at the end of the day, his coverage numbers for the season are workable. Now, the yardage is kind of big. 115 on 17 targets is not ideal for a strong safety. But given the fact that Abrams' rep going into the season was that he sucked in coverage, I can live with this. I can take that. Josh Jones was the safety who notably stood out as being terrible in coverage. Tease DeBoer did all right in coverage in a very small sample size. I'm not really gleaning anything from that. And yeah, that's it for your pass coverage Thursday for the game and the season. Pretty good overall, but some holes that need to be fixed at linebacker. Let me know what you think. I'll see you guys tonight for the stream. Go Hawks.